Have you ever wondered what it would be like if God were like an answering machine? How many of you like answering machines?
Yeah, I like electronics.
I don't like it. Especially when you're trying to get a hold of somebody and, they tell you. Well, anyway, it might sound like this. If you would like to speak with Gabriel, press 1. For Michael, press 2. For any other angel, press 3. If you want King David to sing you a song, press 4. To find out if a relative or a friend is here, enter his or her date of death. And listen for the list that follows. For reservations at the Father's house, simply press the letters J-O-H-N on the keypad, followed by the numbers 316. For answers to nagging questions about dinosaurs, the age of the earth, and where Noah's Ark is, you have to wait until you get here. Truth is that God is always available. And we never get a busy signal, do we? We can always come to Him freely if we wish. And in this series, having a prayer life is one of the most important things that we can do as a Christian. And last week we looked at Daniel as the example of a man of prayer. In Daniel 2, we saw that Nebuchadnezzar was having trouble with understanding his dreams. And he decided he was going to kill all of the wise men for not knowing the dream or of its meaning. And Daniel was included in that particular list. And so he called a prayer meeting. He knew there was strength in numbers when it came to prayer. He knew it was time to just get together. And God answered them. God gave Daniel knowledge of the dream and of the meaning of the particular dream that he was dreaming. Today I would again like to take a look at Daniel. Only this time from chapter 6 in Daniel, verses 1 to 10, it says these words. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps, to be throughout the whole kingdom, and over them 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was one, to whom these satraps should give account, so that the king might suffer no loss. And then this Daniel became disgusted above all the other presidents and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. And then the presidents and the satraps sought to find ground for complaint against Daniel with regard to the kingdom. But they could find no ground for complaint or any fault, because he was faithful, and no error of fault was found in him. Then these men said, we shall not find any ground for complaint against this Daniel unless we find it in connection with the law of God. Then these presidents and satraps came by agreement to the king and said to him, O King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the prefects and the satraps, the counselors and the governors, are agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce it as an injunction, that whoever makes petition to any god or man for 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document, so that it could not be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked. Therefore King Darius signed the document and injunction. And when Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house where he had windows in his upper chamber open towards Jerusalem. And he got down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks to his God as he had done previously. You see, by this time Daniel is an old man. He's managed to make positive impressions on succeeding empires in Babylon, which included the leadership of Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, Cyrus, and Darius. He was a man of influence And under Darius, he has been a top official that has grown in his influence. Now that even in his old age, he's up for a new promotion. And the king has in mind to make him number 2 in the kingdom. He was an influential man because he was an honest man. Daniel was not like the man who sent this letter to the IRS, where he said, "Dear sir, last year when I filed my income tax return, I deliberately misrepresented my income. And now I cannot sleep." Encloses a check for $150 for taxes. If I still can't sleep, I'll send the rest. Well, Daniel could sleep at night because he lived a life of integrity. The text tells us that he was excellent in spirit. He was a man of integrity because honoring God was his priority. He had a heart for God. But with success came trouble. For the king's desire to make him number 2 was not making everybody happy. This was a cutthroat business, for some of the homegrown Babylonians are not too happy with the success of this Hebrew transplant. So they decided to get some dirt on Daniel. The text shows us that Daniel was set up. Getting some dirt was more than a difficult task for these jealous types. Dirt's hard to find when you are dealing with a man of impeccable integrity like Daniel. And since there was no dirt to find, they schemed to trip him up on his faith. And they counted on the fact that Daniel would not give up on his prayer time. And they were right. And so Daniel, when he finds out that it is illegal to pray to anyone except Darius, what does Daniel do? He opens his window, just like he always has, and he prayed. Why didn't Daniel just close the window? What would be wrong with being a bit more discreet? Go ahead and pray, but don't make a big deal about it. But to Daniel it mattered. If he was accused before the king, he was going to answer truthfully. And so if the king was going to find out anyway, well, why change? Why compromise? Be bold about what you believe. And so the text tells us he opens the window to pray, to demonstrate an open and humble heart before God. He demonstrates a desire to honor an infinite God over honoring finite men. And Daniel gives us an example that God's people keep praying no matter what. No matter what the circumstances are, or how impossible things may seem, God's people are to keep on praying. And since Daniel had a determination to pray no matter what, we should think the same way. And there's 3 reasons why God's people need to keep praying. The first reason to keep praying is compliance. In the book of 1 Samuel in chapter 12 and verse 23 it says this, "Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by ceasing to pray for you, and I will instruct you in good and right way." Samuel believes that it's a sin not to pray. It is such an absolute essential to our lives. To not do it is a sin. And Jesus also set us the ultimate example of prayer. He had a regular pattern of withdrawal from the tasks of the day, and he would go off to pray. Sometimes he'd go off in the morning, and sometimes at night, and sometimes during the day, and sometimes all night. And if we follow Jesus, he went from one place of prayer to the next place of prayer. And we should do the same and never stop praying. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and 16 and 18, Paul says, "Rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you." And those are all-encompassing commands, aren't they? I mean, can we really obey them all of the time? I believe these commands speak to the state of our mind. And we need to possess an attitude that acknowledges our dependence on God. We need to constantly realize and have the desire for God's presence in our lives. And when we do this, we never stop praying. There's a good reason for never to stop praying. The old Puritan John Bunyan, who wrote Pilgrim's Progress, said, "Prayer will make a man cease from sin, as sin will entice a man to cease from prayer." Another way of saying this is, you see, it's hard to stumble when you're down on your knees. And when we are not praying, in effect, we leave the door open for all other sins. And this is something I believe that Daniel understood. He needed this order in his life so that when he was called to compromise his faith, he chose the discipline